Get ready to live fearlessly free with Heather Bunch.
Do your thoughts often leave you feeling overwhelmed, stuck in procrastination, or overthinking? Have you ever woke up and you had the best intentions to work on that new project, and before you even started, you're just like, not feeling it, and then you didn't do it? Anyone besides me pull that one? What if one shift in your mindset could radically transform your life and your business? Welcome to the Live Fearlessly Free podcast. I'm your courageous coach, Heather Bunch, and I am here to help you Christian women, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs go from feeling stuck, not enough, and fearful to taking focused, confident, and courageous action. We are literally growing ourselves so we can grow our businesses and do the thing that God has put in our heart to do. Now, the last episode, I introduced to you secret number 3 of how to live the courageous life. And that secret is to direct your imagination. You see, we have got to direct our imagination to work for us instead of against us if we're going to do what God's called us to do. Because otherwise, we are going to be sidetracked. We are going to be fearful. We are not going to be able to be focused in, feeling confident, and taking courageous action unless we learn how to direct our most powerful asset that we have, and that is our mind. So we explored how our imagination can either limit us or empower us. So if you missed that episode, you can go check it out. Today, what we're going to do, we're going to continue unpacking how to direct our imagination. And we're going to dive into one of my very favorite scriptures, Philippians 4:8. And we are going to unpack a powerful mindset framework. Now, this framework helped me pull out of a multiple year depression 12 years ago. So, not only will this framework help you master your thoughts, direct your imagination, lead you into lasting courage and clarity, but you'll also have more joy on the journey. And don't we all just want some more joy? Because I like a good laugh personally. So today's going to be for you if you're tired of feeling like your feelings are controlling your day. Today is also going to be for you if you're ready to transform negative emotions into empowering decisions. I have got you covered, my friends. And if you're eager to master your mindset and confidently navigate life's ups and downs, because let's be honest, it can be a roller coaster, right? And not always the kind of roller coaster we like. I do love a good roller coaster, but not always life's roller coasters. But if you're ready for that, this episode has got your roadmap. I have got you covered. Now, I love this secret of directing your imagination to work for you instead of against you, because you know what? I did not always know this. And when I didn't, I lived life by what I thought and how I felt. And it literally rabbit trailed me through life. And it eventually led me to a point where my husband and I were going through an incredibly hard time financially. And it eventually we went into bankruptcy. But before it even hit that point, I went into a full-on depression. That kind where, I had suicidal thoughts. I don't even want to be here. I had just had my second child. I struggled to get out of bed. I was tired. I mean, this was way beyond postpartum depression. This was every part of my being struggled to still live and move forward. And I didn't even want to. I was like, what's the point? Like, I'm not contributing. I mean, every self-esteem issue I had came to a head, and it drug me down a dark hole that I didn't know how to get out of. And this went on for months and months. And I was a functioning depression, is what it was, because I still got up and I still worked a few days a week at that point. When I had Aubrey, that was my second child. And so I still went to work, but it was such a struggle. And I hated every moment of it. And it was so sad, because here I have this incredible, beautiful daughter, my first daughter, that I wanted. We wanted kids, and it's a struggle for me to have kids. Like, I gave myself shots every single day, in order for me to keep my pregnancies. And that's a whole other story on its own. But during this time, my husband comes to me and he was like, "Can we talk?" And when you get the "can we talk," something's going to go down. All right. And he just shared with me from his heart about, "Heather, I know you're struggling, and I know, all of this is really hard for you." So he acknowledged what I was going through. But he said, what I don't think you realize is how much what you're feeling is affecting our family and affecting me. And he's like, "Look, I'm not divorcing you over this but I mean," he was like, I don't know how to live like this." And in that moment, that was, "Heather, this is not okay. And you have got to do something about this now." And I walked out of the room. I had made that decision. This is going to change. And so I got on the computer and I went to Amazon and I bought a book called Philippians 4:8 Principle. It was about how to live a joy-filled life by Tommy Newberry. Now, my mom had shared with me ahead of time about this book, so I knew about the book. She had actually gives out his devotional version, 60 days to a joy-filled life. I can't remember how many days. Might be 90 days. I don't know. But you're living a joy-filled life. And so I knew she had given this book out to people she counsels. She's a pastoral care pastor at our church. And she had seen such a remarkable difference in people that had gone through this devotional. It even saved a marriage. And it was only the woman that went through the book, and it literally saved their marriage. And I was like, all right, I'm going to get this book. And so rather than getting the devotional, though, I'm the kind of person, I'm like, all right, I'm going deep. Don't give me just the fluffy devotional. Give me the full on thing. So I bought the full book that had all of the information, all of the research, all of the points. And I took an entire year and I walked through that book. I read it. I used it as my devotional time. I went through everything, single scripture. I went through every exercise. I would go back through the exercise. And what I discovered is the key to a joy-filled life was here in my thoughts. My mind is what held the key to a joy-filled life. And the reason I was in a depression was because every thought in me was what brought me there. Everything that was negative, everything that was going wrong, how I wasn't good enough, every possible negative thought was going through my head, and it was stuck on repeat. And so I was stuck in an emotional state that led me down into this depression spiral. And so through this process of literally renewing my mind to the scripture, Philippians 4:8, and we're going to go through that in a minute, my friend. We're going to break it down. It changed everything. Everything that is good in my life, I can say, was started from that point. Me growing into the woman who could finally step in to who God's calling me to be and do the things he's called me to do started there in that book, spending time in there and mastering my mindset. And so everything literally starts with our thoughts. That's what I learned. I was like, I was oblivious to that fact. I did not realize that. Nobody in school ever told me, Heather, if you could get a hold of your thoughts, you could literally change your future. Yeah, no, nobody ever taught me that. Our mindset, when we talk, people talk about mindset all the time, but when you think about it, our mindset is a set of thoughts on repeat. That is our mindset. So if I had a negative mindset in that moment, I had a lack mindset in that moment, I had a woe is me victim mindset in that moment of depression, because I had a set of thoughts on repeat. You see, we have anywhere from 30 to 60,000 thoughts per day. And the numbers vary, and it probably varies because we're all different. But so scientists don't really have an exact number for us, but somewhere in that range. And they discovered that many of these thoughts literally are on repeat. They're the same exact thoughts that we had to the day before. Now, that is great if most of our thoughts are positive, but that is detrimental if they're negative. And that was me in that depression. The bulk of my thoughts were on repeat of everything negative that was going in my life. So if your life is not where you want it to be yet, and you know what? Mine isn't either. I am going to share a powerful framework that is going to help you turn the corner. This is a framework I still use because you know what? My thoughts still wander off into places they shouldn't go. And I can bring them back with this framework and help me to let go of the things that aren't serving me and to focus on the things that will. That literally help me direct my imagination to work for me instead of against me. And you can too. It is going to get you moving forward in the desired direction. So let's go to Philippians 4:8, shall we? Finally, brethren or sisters, come on now. Come on, give me a sisters. When you go to, okay, this is total rabbit trail because #rabbit trails happen. Most of the time, I love to look up things in their original language, in the Greek, in the Hebrew, depending on where I'm reading in scripture. And many times when you see brethren or men or things like that, when you go to the original language, it's actually referencing everybody. So FYI. All right. So finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is of good repute, if anything is excellent, and if anything is worthy of praise, dwell on these things. Dwell on these things. Right there, Paul is telling us what we need to be thinking on. And what I love about this is Paul was sitting in prison when he wrote this. He was in a Roman jail cell as he wrote, whatever is lovely, think on these things. Now, I have been in some rough circumstances, but I have never been in a Roman jail cell. And some of you may have been to jail, but I am telling you, I'm not saying it was good, okay? But it was not a Roman jail cell. This was 2,000 years ago, and they did not have the rules that they have now. They didn't get 3 square meals a day and, weights and a library and free education, okay? Again, I am not saying if you've been in jail, that is it was a walk in the park. I'm sure it was not. But Paul, even in one of the worst circumstances you could imagine yourself in, he sat there and he said, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is lovely, of good reputation, if it's worthy of praise, dwell on that. Think about that. Roll that over and over in your mind. So here's the Philippians 4 framework, my friend. We think, we feel, and then we choose. Philippians 4:8 tells us what to think on. And what happens is when we think, our thoughts actually create the feelings that we experience, the emotions that come up, that we have on repeat. And when we feel a certain way, then we make certain choices and we act on those choices. Just like in the opener, when I was talking about, did you ever wake up and you're like, I'm going to work on this project. And then you got derailed because you were like, nah, I don't feel like it. In that moment, that feeling caused you to make a choice, right? And so that worked against us. But now that we know this framework, we think, we feel, we choose, now we can get it working for us. So let's break these down. Number one, we think. Thoughts are seeds. They literally are seeds that we are planting in our mind, that we cultivate and we nourish and nurture and water. And we do that by thinking about them over and over again. Our thoughts are seeds that directly influence our emotional state and then eventually our choices. Excuse me. Have you ever noticed when you are constantly worrying about finances? Anyone done that besides me? Okay. You're worried about, oh my gosh, this new bill came in. What am I going to do about it? I don't have the money. Maybe I need to go get a job. Okay, what can I cut out? And then you start thinking, like, when we were going through the financial worry, I literally could go from, oh my God, this new bill came in, to like go down the path and we're going to be homeless, living in a van down by the river. Okay. And I could do it fast too, let me tell you, because that pattern was on repeat. My thoughts were seeds, and those seeds, that worry, brought on anxiety. So as I was thinking about my finances, oh my gosh, I don't have enough. What are we going to do? And then I started getting anxious. So not only did my emotions start going off, that also caused my body to react as well. And when you're in an emotional state, say you're worried about your finances, your anxiety is increasing, you're going to hesitate in your business to make certain strategic business decisions. Or in your life, you might go into this emotional state and then make a choice like, oh my God, I need shopping therapy, right? And you go buy things and you're like, why did I just do that? It made you feel better in the moment, right? But that emotion brought you to that state. Proverbs 4:23 reminds us, watch over our heart with all diligence, for from it flow the springs of life. Our heart is literally connected to our mind. It's physically actually speaks to each other through the vagus nerve. It actually goes from our heart to our head to our gut. It's literally our three brains, okay? It's all interconnected. So it may start here in our thoughts, but once these seeds have been planted and they are on repeat and it causes certain emotions in us, our body then and our heart can literally bring things back up in a heartbeat without our thoughts even realizing it, because it's been on repeat. I've told the story of when I fainted, and I'm not going to go into detail on that, but I remember as I was working through this process and fear had gripped me so hard in those moments, I I was feigning so often that I could walk into a room, I could immediately feel that feeling like I'm going to faint. I could smell a smell and react as if, oh my gosh, and then that those thoughts and the feeling would immediately come back up. It was because it was on repeat. It was a mindset. I was set in a pattern because it all started with the thoughts. And I nurtured the seeds in my mind, and then it dropped into my heart and my feelings. And then that pattern would come up, and I could feel it in my emotions, and it would go back up into my thoughts. And it was literally a cycle on repeat. Cognitive behavioral therapy actually shows that shifting our negative thoughts into truthful or positive ones can actually reduce our anxiety and stress significantly. They've even shown this with gratitude. People that focus on gratitude, which is just intentional thoughts to think about the positive, they have shifted and lowered their anxiety and their stress just by that. Okay? So one of the ways you can do this is using the law of replacement to switch your thoughts, because you cannot think a negative thought and a positive thought at the same time. So you switch that negative thought to a God thought, the fear thought to a faith thought, a junky thought to a joyful thought. Change out your thoughts, because whatever we think on is what we're going to feel. And that is number 2. We feel. And emotions are signals. You see, our emotions are literally just biochemical carriers that allow us to feel what we're thinking. Feelings alert us when our thinking's off, or they can reveal that, we've been thinking on joyful, good things. They're literally just signals that are revealing what's going on in our inner world. Psalms 139:23, search me, O God, and know my heart, and know my anxious thoughts. Here's David. He's like, search me, God. I got anxious thoughts. Help me. Psalms 103, 1 and 2. David sitting there telling himself, bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me. Bless his holy name. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits. Gratitude, right there. Gratitude journal. David literally told himself, his soul, to bless the Lord, whether he felt like it or not. So many times we live by our emotions. I'm just not feeling it. Neuroscience has confirmed that our emotions are just responses triggered by our thoughts and perceptions, but they shape our physical state. Just like when I was fainting and those emotions I would feel, the fear, it changed my body. Anxiety is just a signal that you have been thinking on the wrong things. And it's become such a pattern, you could be even unconscious of what you've been thinking on. It might be that you've been so worried that it's so normal, you don't even realize that that's what you've been doing, okay? Because you've been on repeat. So research also reveals that our emotions, these chemical reactions, okay, that's what our emotions are, chemical reactions, they actually only last 90 seconds. From the moment they are triggered, that chemical reaction only lasts 90 seconds. Now, after that initial reaction, the emotions only stick around if we choose to stay in that emotional loop. I can remember there was a time where my daughter, she was at the cabinet And she was getting some pills out of the cabinet. I'm like, Aubrey, what you doing? This was years ago. And she had a bottle of allergy pills. And I was like, you doing all right? And she's like, no, I'm angry. And I was like, Aubrey, those allergy pills are not going to help with the anger. And I had actually just learned this principle about the 90-second rule. And so I was like, Aubrey, and I just started talking to her about that emotional response of anger. And I said, and I had to break it down to, I can't remember, she was maybe 6 or 7 at the time. And I broke it down to her in a way to help her understand that it's just an emotion, that it goes away. And then we get to choose how we're going to go forward, how we're going to think going forward and make different choices and act different ways. We didn't have to stay angry. And what I did is I actually gave her an exercise. I said, Aubrey, one of the best ways to work through this 90-second moment is to breathe. Breathing is a great way to release the emotions from our body. Because what can happen is we can put on this, say anger. We're out of the 90-second loop, but we're still feeling angry because we keep thinking the thoughts of why we're angry about this, and I can't believe they did that. And we have got to not only switch our thoughts, but we got to do something bodily to help that emotion move out of our body, that chemical response, to let it go, okay? So breathing is an excellent way. And what I love to do is I love to breathe in for 4 seconds, hold it for about a second, and then breathe out for 8. Hold it for a second, breathe in for 4, hold it for a moment, breathe out for 8, hold it for a moment, and just do that pattern through this 90-second chemical reaction. And you are literally going to breathe out that emotion. I can remember one time when I was feeling like I was going to faint, and I was out on the front porch, and I literally just put my hand on my heart, and I talked to myself, and I said, Heather, it's okay. You're just feeling fear. That's the emotional response you're feeling, because I was worried about my dog at the time. Actually, he was out in the middle of the night having a, not pretty restroom moment. And so I just held my hand on my heart and I just breathed through that moment. I accepted that it was okay that I felt that with no shame, no condemnation. And I just breathed through the moment and I let it go. And in that moment, I was able to just release it from my body. Our thoughts lead to our feelings. And then our feelings lead to number 3. We choose. Action flows from feelings. Our actions are directly coming and flowing out of how we feel. Now, empowered feelings can lead to courageous actions. Woo! I love those. Those are my favorite. But you know what? Those negative emotions, that anger never leads me to a good action. I'm usually doing something stupid. And have you? I know I have. I do not make good choices when I am in a negative emotional state, whether that's sad, upset, depressed, angry, furious. There is literally a hole in my wall that I kicked the hole in my wall, because I remember years ago when we were potty training Yoshi and he was finally good. We were babysitting another dog. The dog peed in my house. And then you know what Yoshi did later? He decided it's okay to pee. No, it's not. I was so mad. I kicked the wall with my foot and put a hole in my wall. Still there. And I use it as a reminder that my thoughts create my feelings and my feelings create my choices. And I made a bad choice in that moment. But the beautiful thing is, now that we know this framework, we can use it for us. I want to remind you of James 2, 17. Even so, faith, if it has no works, is dead, being by itself. I can have all the faith in the world, but I actually have to do the work. I can be believing that God's got great things for me, and He wants my business to grow and to prosper and for me to help other people and to make a difference in this world. But if I do not learn how to direct my imagination to work for me instead of against me, if I do not get this framework, I think, I feel, I choose working for me, I'm never going to get around to doing what God's called me to do. How about you? Behavioral science shows constantly choosing courageous actions, even small ones, reinforce neural pathways for confidence and resilience. That's the goal. The goal is to create the thoughts that create the emotions that help us make the choice to move forward and do the things that God's called us to do, whether we're afraid or not, whether it's hard or not, whether we feel like it or not in the moment. But we need to keep reinforcing the positive and what we want in life instead of just defaulting to the negative and assuming that that's just the way it is. Did you ever hear that? People are just like, it is what it is. You know what? I've caught myself saying that, but that kind of thought, that mindset does not help me. We think, we feel, we choose. If I want to choose the right actions, then it all starts with the right thoughts. Let's recap, my friend. We think. Our thoughts plant seeds that shape our emotions and influence our choices. It all starts here. It all starts here. And God gave us the power to choose. Once we think, then we feel. Our emotions, though, are just signals showing us what's going on internally. If I am freaking out and I am anxious and overthinking and procrastinating and worried, it just lets me know something ain't right going on here in the thoughts. But again, we can change it. We can switch it out. But here's the thing. Remember, emotions are just biochemical carriers that allow us to feel what we're thinking. And that emotional response only lasts 90 seconds. You can just breathe your way out of it, let it go, change your thought. Because the third thing is this, we choose. Courageous action flows naturally from empowered feelings, and that is shaped by truthful, positive, joyful, lovely, of good report thoughts. Those Philippians 4:8 thoughts. So if we want to make the right choices, then we've got to stick to our Philippians 4:8 framework. And when we do that, we're going to able to not only do more of what God's called us to do, it will create more joy in our life because we are focused on the good things instead of just all the things that are going wrong or could go wrong that a lot of times never actually happen. All right, my friends, let's do some courageous action because, again, we're not just hearers of the word. We are doers of the word because our faith without works is dead. So let's do some work, friends. Let's practice our think, feel, choose framework. Okay? Step 1, think. When your feelings are anxious and overwhelmed, what I want you to do is I want you to pause and acknowledge what thoughts are triggering these emotions. Just acknowledge it. Go, ooh, I'm having some fearful thoughts. Like when I was sitting on the porch, about to pass out. Oh, Heather, you are afraid right now. You are thinking because you fainted before and when you felt this way, you're going to faint again. Just acknowledge the thought, whatever it is. You're worried about your finances. You're worried about your kids. Are they going to graduate? There's so many things to worry about. I, as a mama, oh my gosh, I get it. I get on that rabbit trail a lot. So that's where I'm working on corralling my emotions and my thoughts right now is that's an area of focus for me. All right. So step 1, think. Acknowledge the thought. Step 2, feel. Allow yourself to fully experience that emotion. It's okay. Like, feel it and acknowledge, okay, I'm feeling anxious right now, but that is okay. That is just lets me know I've got some worry thoughts going on that I have not given over to the Lord yet. And what I want you to do in that moment, put your hand on your heart and just intentionally breathe through that 90 seconds. Just know it's a chemical reaction going on. It's allowing you to feel what you think. Whew, and it's okay. And then step 3, choose. Once that 90-second wave passes, intentionally choose a different, more empowering thought. And don't just take the thought, take some courageous action. What can you do to move forward in this moment that will lead you to a positive result? Maybe if it's finances and you're worried about something, maybe there's a phone call that you can make because maybe you don't have all the information. If it's my kids, maybe it's a conversation I need to have. But some type of courageous action. We think, we feel, we choose. We have got this. This framework literally helps us direct our imagination to work for us instead of against us. Instead of dragging us back through the old patterns and the old ways and the old actions that we've always taken that have not led to the life that we want. But now we've got the secret, the keys to the kingdom, so that we can live the life that God is calling us to, and we can do it with more joy. All right, my friends, next time we are wrapping up secret number 3 with an episode on how to overcome fear so you can unlock your next breakthrough, okay? Because I am the courageous coach, and I know what it's like to have to overcome fear because I got to do it all the time. It's what I do, not because that comes naturally to me, but because I had to learn how to do it. Now, I want to remind you, you have got this, my friend, and Father's got you. I just want to thank you a bunch for listening or for watching. And until next time, live fearlessly free.